Um, and let's create a sphere. Alright, so we drag the sphere up, right click to end the command. I'm going to change the view mode to edged faces, alright, and I'm going to hit Z to zoom in on it, okay. Now by default, when you create a sphere, it's not actually very smooth. There's only a limited number of segments. Mine comes up with 20, and I'll hit render just to show you. You can see that even with the render, it actually comes up quite faceted. The more segments we put onto it, the smoother the sphere comes, because there's more mesh pieces that actually make up that overall geometry. We can also make it a hemisphere if we hit 0.5 under the hemisphere parameter, and you'll see there that what we have done is actually created a half sphere, or we can go just a little bit below that. Now another useful command that you might want to use is Alt-Q, and Alt-Q will isolate a selection, okay? So you can see now my environment, it's hidden everything temporarily, and it brings up this little dialog box here called Exit Isolation, or sorry, Isolated Selection. Alright, to exit you just click that button there. Now, a modifier that you might find useful to create kind of a structure based on that network of points, vertice points, and the lines that surround each mesh. There's a modifier called Lattice. Okay, so we can open up the modifier stack as long as we've got the sphere selected, and we can go down here to Lattice. Okay, I'm going to go into isolation mode again just to show you this. So I'll press Alt-Q, and you can see what it's done. I'll turn off edged faces too, so you get an idea of how the geometry. It's really thin at the moment. You can see that in the parameters of the lattice, we have geometry that's being made by struts and joints, and the struts are only 0.002 of a meter in radius. Okay, so we'll see that if we can actually move that up to 0.2 of a meter, it becomes quite chunky. And what we can actually do is then drag that down and create a kind of a geometry that we're happy with here. Alright, so you might find that useful. Now there are also joints that are made. Okay, so at each intersection here, wherever there was a vertice, they make a little geodesic shape. And just to highlight that, I'll make it nice and big. Alright, so you can see there's all these little bits of geometry of one of the shapes that they say, tetra, octa, or icosa. And if I just drag that down here, you can see now we're just making these little vertice points. We can also smooth those off just hitting the smooth toggle. Alright, and just to have a look at it, we can render it without anything else on. Alright.